Alright, so this is the very intro to this video, and I just show you the end results of it to show you what you're in store for. If you are interested in having an intercom system in your house using Home Assistant, this is the video. Okay, so basically what it comes down to is I could page anybody in the house using their Google speaker, and they can communicate back and forth to each other too using this. This is just an example of a card, so I can go in and type out a message and then hit return.
Hey, I need your help.
Okay, so that's called Google Translate, and you notice that it has like a really flat type of, hey, I need your help. It's really flat. So I'm going to be also showing you that it does matter what you're using as far as TTS. And TTS is, again, text to speech. So if you were to use something else, let's say Google Poly, so let me do that at the very beginning just to show you what the difference is, that way you know. Alright, so here's the example using Poly.
Hey, I need your help.
Cool, and the longer you put this in here,
Hey, I need your help.
the longer the column pauses. So that's the nuance between the two. And as we go through the video, I'll show you how to set up both of those. Google Translate is absolutely free. Poly is a value that is never reachable because you have to use 1 million characters to get charged, and it's, yeah, like $6. So, or 16 if you get too high, but I'll get into that in the video. So if you are interested in setting up something like this, that card that you can use with your kids to be able to page them, then you're in the right place. Enjoy. Alright, so let's get started with, first you go down to the link below and you open up the Google document, and then you go File, Make a Copy. Okay, and I'm going to share with you my YAML and how to get these blanks filled in. Okay, so that's the first part of this video, is to get these filled in. Alright, so blank number 1. This is going to be the portal at which you can gain access to your network from the outside world. It's the HTTPS fully qualified URL. Now, if you don't know what that is, I'll show you. A long time ago in like video 2, I had you set this up. If you go to Settings, Home Assistant Cloud, you're going to copy this. You should have a Nabu Casa account, okay? And you should be able to access this copy link, okay? So you can copy and paste that here. I'm not going to do it because then I would be giving my Nabu Casa away. I don't know if that matters, but there you go. So that goes here. Alright, next we're going to fill out these two spaces. So this is Amazon Poly, and we're going to have to go make a new user for Amazon Poly, and I'll explain what Amazon Poly is while we go make that user. Alright, to find AWS, the service from Amazon, you just type in Google AWS Amazon. Okay. Believe it or not, Amazon has this area that you can use. It has all kind of crazy development tools that you can access, and it's so undocumented that it's sad. So we're going to be utilizing one called Poly, and you're going to need an account for AWS. You basically create an account using the top orange button and then go log in. It's absolutely free at first, so, and I'll show you what would happen if you go over the amount of characters, which I've never done ever. So you basically log in and you're presented with services. Okay, if you go to services, we type in I am. Okay, go to the Manage Access IM, and we're going to set a user within here that has rights to certain things. So you're going to go to Users, and you'll add users. And this one's going to be called TTS. It doesn't matter what you call this, just remember what you called it. And I guess you don't even have to know who you called it, because it's going to be used as there's a key that's going to be generated, and you're going to be using the key. So you won't need to know the name, you'll just need to know the key. So we want an access key for programmatic access. That's a weird word. So next, permissions. Okay, we're going to attach existing policies directly. We only need one policy. And then it's going to call poly. And you just say Amazon full poly access. Next. We do not need any tags. Tags are very useful. Sometimes if you have a lot of services, but I haven't delved that deep yet. And then you click on Create User. Okay, this stop right here is where you're going to need, and you'll never see this ever again. The secret key will always be hid, and you have to generate a new one if you accidentally off-click this screen. So first thing we're going to do is copy this code, and it's going to go in that document I shared. Again, it's a link below. And you go File, make a copy before you can edit it, and then you paste it here. Okay, that's your access key ID. Okay, the next thing is your secret key. I'll be deleting this afterwards. This is just a dummy user. And then that one goes here. There is a space between the colon. Alright, so now you should have your Nabu Casa fully qualified URL here that I showed you, and you should have these two. Notice that the voice is Brian. So now I'm going to show you what poly is before we start implementing this. Again, you don't get charged unless you use this a lot. And I think it's pennies a month, unless you have this thing reading full stories a day. Okay, so now let's kind of look at what this is before you go using it. So if you go to services and type in poly, go to Amazon poly. Now, if you can't access this right now, that means you probably don't have an Amazon account hooked up to a credit card, but I forget the setup process for that. It was really easy. So there's standard, which I think is absolutely free, and then there's neural, which is absolutely better. So if you go to this SML, okay, and go to info, you can go here, and it will give you all the little weird things about the tags and how to space out your words, which I would say this is like a whole thing in itself, and you should look up some examples. There's a million examples on this. But so for example, these are all the different voices for the neural TTS. Okay, and here's some examples on how you would speak something that's really long. Okay. Now, if you use my code, you'll notice that there is this right here, text type text. So I bypass the SSML altogether because I find that it's a pain. If you like to space out your words correctly, you'll have to use SSML here instead of text. Okay. Also, your automations are way more complex if you set that up, because you now have to pass the two tags into it, and that is very difficult in my humble opinion. It's better just to go text than anything else. Alright, so that's what that is. And let's go back to Poly, where you can play with it for a second. So the neural, you got all these voices. Okay, these are based upon whatever drop-down you have. Let's say I have US. Okay, I have these. Now there are some that are not listed in here, aka Brian. A couple others too, but you notice in my code, Brian is being used the most. So by putting the name here, you can then choose what you want the voice to sound like. Again, Brian's not listed here, but he's kind of got like a tawdry British accent, and everything he says is very, very funny. So that's why I use it. Another one is like Joey, which is kind of cute. Is a creepy.
My name is Joey.
Oh wait, no,
Any text you type
not Joey. Maybe it's Kelvin.
Hello.
Yeah,
My
Kelvin.
name is Kevin. I will read any text you type here.
So you have a much better response. Again, if you wanted to use SML though and look up how to write SSML, you can, and the SSML will allow you to space out things like, let's say I put a comma here, I can actually dictate how long that comma is. Okay, awesome. So let's say you want to know how much can I use this before I get charged. Okay, here's pricing. $4 per 1 million characters for speech. Okay, and then once you're past the free one, it's $16 per 1 million characters. Now, I never use that much. I use it once in a while, so I have not seen a charge yet on my credit card, and I've had it for about 2 years now. I want to say 2 years. You can play with prices if you want here. Again, if you're afraid of the internet, you're afraid of typing credit card in Amazon, if you live in a bubble or you have a foil hat, don't use this. Use maybe the other one, and I'll show you how to implement both. If you want to use the all free one, which is Google Translate. Alright, so that, after you play with it, now you'll need to implement the code inside Home Assistant. Okay, so to set up the code in Home Assistant, I would use File Editor. Again, you should probably have File Editor by now if you've been watching the entire series. It's called File Editor. The reason you want File Editor because you want to make sure that the YAML is absolutely correct and the spacing is absolutely correct. I'm going to blank out this area. Okay. So where you see this giant box is where you need to paste that. You'll be pasting all of this. So copy that and paste it in this area. Okay? Because it shows my secret keys and my stuff. I can't have that. And if you ever want to, so if you go back to IM, let's say you ever need to change any of that stuff or get rid of it, again, here is TTS manage. I can simply go in here and delete that now. Nice. Okay, so now that that's secure and you know where file editor is. Also, if you don't see this, this is configuration YAML. Okay, that's where that box needs to go. Sometimes it pops it up by default. Again, it's right here too. This is the file that you're editing, but just in case you can't get to it, it's also located here if it didn't load by default. After you have got that into place, you scroll down to Settings, you go to System, and you do a restart on the system, and then wait for it to pop back up. Alright, now that your system is restarted, we can add in this code. This code goes into the area in your configuration file also. You need to have that in place first before you implement this code. Okay, and let me explain to you how this code works. Let's say you have a Google Nest or Google speaker in 4 areas of your house. I have one in my living room, I have one in my basement, I have one in my son, and one in my daughter's room, and then I got all. Okay, all is like I announce it throughout the entire house if I wanted to. Okay, it's a speaker group in that case. Okay, we're not going to get to this one right now. It's maybe a later video, maybe, but we'll get to these 4. These are good examples. And you can always set your automation to broadcast to several ones at the same time, which is all anyway. Okay, so all you do is have to change this to, let's say you have a downstairs area or you have a bedroom. You can just change it to bedroom, and then this you would change to bedroom TTS. Now the naming convention is not important here, just as long as this one is all lowercase. And I wouldn't even say it had to be lowercase. It's just you have to come with the naming convention that you want for your house here. This one is going to be my downstairs. The name of it is going to be called Living Room TTS. That's where the speaker is, downstairs. Basement, it's in the basement. It's the whole basement. Dexter, announce. Dexter TTS, etc. and so forth. The some text, you could use this area if you have some text that you always type in there, like help, help, help. Who knows? You can utilize that. If you don't, you'll just end up replacing this text. So paste this at the end of your configuration file and do one more restart. Okay, so now we're going to write some automation. Okay, so you should have now like some entities in here. We can check that, and I can show you where those entities live. So if you go into entities and helpers, okay, if you go to the helper tab, you're going to now have some helpers. Awesome, right? So now I have a Scarlet, a living room, a friendly name, which is just my beta test one. By the way, if you ever add these, they are a complete pain in the butt to get rid of, so make sure that you have the ones you want in here, and don't make too many. You can get rid of them, but they do have a problem where they rear their ugly head back into something else, so just be careful with these. So Scarlet, for example, is called the input text announce Scarlet. Okay, so we're going to be utilizing this name. So you should probably go through and go to area and assign these to the area they go. Texture. Does this matter? No, but it's very easy to keep them organized this way. They will still work if you don't do this part, but if you don't know, this system relies on your organization. So this one doesn't have a basement? No. Oh, electric room. That's right. Okay, so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so that's just the organization of them, and then we'll proceed to the next step. Alright, so for this next step, I would highly suggest you have 2 instances of your Home Assistant open. That way you can toggle between the two. So for this instance, I would go into your settings, device helpers, and have this window open. Okay, this one you would put these on whatever card you want. Okay, I'm just going to use overview because it's kind of clean looking, and that's where I'm going to put these cards at. Okay, you can put them wherever you want. I'm just going to show you how to put them on a blank card, and then later on you can move them wherever you want. So we're going to edit this dashboard, and we're going to add a card, and it's going to go by entity. Okay, by entity. Okay, then over here we're going to go and make first the living room TTS. So I'm going to copy this code, and then I'm going to jump back and do a search for it, and then put a checkbox here and continue. Alright, so that's how you add a text field. And then I'm going to say add to text bar. Now it's named living room TTS some text. See how the organization kind of pulled through. Now I know exactly where this is going to go. Sweet. So now I have it. I can type in some stuff. I can hit enter, and nothing happens. Okay. Let's say you wanted to add all of them to the same card. You could do that. I can show you how to do that. Let's go to add card. Let's go to entities, plural. And let's say I had, just blank all these out, and then we add one. You notice that it only gives you buttons, picture, and I think it's going to be a button. Then cancel that out and paste. There we go. That's how you do it. So now you got that one, and you can make a card with all of these in it. So you got that one. And I'll add one more just to show you how that works. So again, you can just paste. And it should pop up after you paste. Hopefully, there it is. So if it doesn't do it the first time, just go like that. So now if you save, you notice I have a group of them, and I can choose any area of the house. So boom, boom, boom. So that's how you add several of them to the same card. Alright, now we have to write an automation that says, hey, anytime I type in this, do something. Alright, so now if you go to the next section of the code, there's going to be a little area that's an automation that I wrote for you. Now, it's nothing fancy except for this area right here. You're going to do some research for that. So I gave it to you, and I'll show you how to change all of this. We'll write one for my son. Okay. So the first thing we're going to need to do to write a custom automation for you is, again, go back to your speaker system, or the text things where you got the speaker system is. Click on it, and you're going to copy this into the ID. Okay, so then you go over to here, and then you replace it in the quotes. Okay. Now the alias announce is going to be your alias can be anything. So this is going to be the alias for the automation. So for that, you can quite literally, for this, I'm going to say announce Dexter. That's how you're going to know where the automation is. I'll show you where it goes. Okay, and then input text. Again, that's a repeat of this one. So Command C, Command V, and this entity ID, this is the speaker in your house. So let me show you how to get that one. So if you go, for example, go to Settings, go to Device Services and Entities, and you go into, I think it's going to be Devices too. So here's Dexter's room speaker. So if you have a Google speaker in your house, that's where it's going to end up. So you can see Google Nest Mini. Cool. But what I need is the qualified name for it. So if you go into here, Dexter's room speaker, this is the entity ID. Okay, so that entity ID goes into this. And now that's a complete state automation that we're going to be placing inside Home Assistant. Again, I would have to duplicate this for as many automations as I need. In this case, I have 4. I would have to write 4 of these in order for this to work. So I'm going to only show you how to do 1, and you get to do the other 3, or how many ever you have. Alright, so now you should be able to go to Overview and go to whatever speaker it is, and then type that in, and it should go. Now you can hook up TVs to speakers. Let's say you don't have any Google Nest products in the house. You can actually hook up your TVs in your house to speakers. They will automatically turn on and then announce it. Bad thing is, your TV is now on all day unless you write an automation that says, hey, when you're done announcing, please turn off. So I would highly suggest just getting the Google Nest as speakers. They're just inexpensive. You can find them really everywhere used. So don't spend like 30-40 bucks for these. You can buy used ones for like 20 bucks, 15 sometimes, just at your local pawn shops. Just go in there and just buy them out. That's what I did. Alright, so that's how you do it. I think that's it. It should work now. I don't want to page my son, but I do want to show you that it works. So maybe I would have the TV in my room go off just to prove that the thing works. So in this part of the video, I'll just write a custom script for a TV, and if it becomes useful for you, there we go. So to get the entity for your TV, you find your TV. Here's bedroom TV. Okay, there's the media player for it. Okay, and how you write the script for that is you go in here. And I should have copy pasted this first. So it's good to keep these documented, because what will happen is if your system ever crashes, you can have all this code available to you. So I'll announce dad room. Okay, and that's a TV in here. This is the media player for it. That's not it. Okay, there we go. I don't have a text box for my room. Okay. God, I don't know if I want a text box for my room, to be honest with you. Okay. Guess we're going to do it anyway, right? Okay, so for example, I would have to do and that's it. So now I have a text box. This thing needs to go in my configuration file. Okay, so that went in my configuration file. Before I do a restart, I need this thing right here, which I won't be able to get until I do a restart. So I gotta restart it just to get this input text. Alright, so I did a restart. This is just for the TV. And now we are going to go into helpers and see that there's a new one in here called Dad's Room TTS. So I click on that, and that's where I get that. Copy it. Again, you should always make sure that you organize. Go back to the code. And that's going to be located here and here. This is gone. So this is a new automation just to show you that it works. Okay, where that automation goes is settings, automations. Again, make a new one. Blank. Go right to YAML. Paste it in. And if you want to see it, you can go back to Visual Editor and save it and rename it. So now we got Dad's Room. Let's go up to Overview. Notice I don't have an entity called Dad yet, so let's add that. That's going to be in your helpers, Dad's Room, copy it, edit your card, and we're going to make another entity called that one. This one's going to be deleted at the end. Okay, sweet, I got it. Now let's see if it works.
Test this card.
That's annoying. Notice there is a delay. There's quite a bit of delay when you use this.
Test this card out.
Yeah. Alright, so there we go. Real-time proof that works 100%. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the complex YAML configuration of setting up intercom system within your house using Amazon Poly, and if you wanted to use Google Translate. Alright, so maybe you wanted to use the free version like Google Translate. In order to do that, all you simply do is, instead of having TTS Amazon Poly, you replace that with TTS Google Say, and it works. Alright, so I thought I'd include how to make a group of speakers because it would be just easy to do that right now. So if you're in Home Assistant and you want this to spread across your entire house, you do the following. Go to Settings, go to Device and Services, go to Helpers, and click in the corner here and go to Group. And then you say, I want a media player group, and then you just add a name to it. So house speakers. Okay, and then the members are going to be my basement speaker, Dexter's room, living room speaker, and Scarlet room speaker. Alright, then we can submit that. So you should hear your Alexa go off and tell you that they found that group. And then we got this. Okay, so now what you do is you take this little guy and you can use him as one of these things. So for example, you just replace it with this. So I used to do it this way, where I would have an action for everyone. That's another way you could do it if you didn't want to use group. But if that's the case, you have to use the parallel command instead of single. So instead of single, I would use parallel. So I'm going to get rid of that. Oh wait, I'm going to get rid of this. So I'll leave this example. It's very slow if you use that example. So I'm going to get rid of it. And there we go. So that's my new one. So I'll Command C that. And let's go to the automations. I got one called Announce All. And I'll just replace all this with a new one. Nice and neat. So this is just a text box, just like I showed you, called Announce All. I'll show it to you in a sec. And it's now broadcasting to a group of speakers I just made. So now if I go to Overview, just testing speaker group. There. Cool. So that's how you set it to all the people in the house. Now it goes off just a little weird, like it'll go off in entity 1, entity 2, entity 3, entity 4, entity 5, how many ever entities are in the group, but it follows the group, whatever structure that you put into place, and then it goes through it. So, alright, so that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoy your intercom system. It's a very good addition to Home Assistant, I feel, and we'll continue to make some really cool things in the Home Assistant in the near future, but for right now, this will keep you hooked for quite some time as you set that up. Enjoy.